Hey, what's up, guys? Quick update as we head into the weekend here. Looking at Bitcoin first, not a lot has changed. The price range is starting to narrow, starting to tighten up here a little bit, and you can see it is starting to clear some resistance here. On a closing basis, it has started to make some progress, closing above this 64.50 level here. The last four-hour candles, and you can see, let me highlight that here. You can see how tight and narrow this price range is getting, and kind of looking for the bulls to show some follow through here, some upside momentum. They are certainly making some ground here. You can see this trend line on the lower end. Prices continue to rise and really tighten up here near this $6,400 to $6,500 level. The battle continues around that $6,500 level. Every rally is being sold into, but you can see the support levels are starting to rise as the bulls are buying this up and building that support level up. So it's going to be interesting to watch how this plays out going into the weekend. Typically the weekends do slow down here a little bit. I've noticed in the last couple of months liquidity does dry up a little bit, but that could also drive some big moves because of the lack of liquidity going into the weekend. So it's going to be interesting to see which way this plays out here in the near term. Some follow through. Closing above this $6,600 mark would really start to show some conviction on the bull side, and I expect you would see some more short covering on a close above 6,600. If we can manage to see a close above that, then I think Bitcoin's next target on the upside is going to be around that 6,800 to 7K range. That's going to be really the window I'm going to be watching here. And on the downside, now that the support level is rising, first support is going to be right around 6,400 basically, right? To be near-term support is a 10 EMA on the 4-hour chart, which is sitting around 6,420. You can see we had this wick here right around 6,390, and so that $6,400 range on a closing basis especially is going to be the first level support. And below that, you can see that the bulls so far have been defending this $6,300 zone with the buys showing up below that. Every time it dips below that, you're seeing a lot of buying showing up, and so it still remains very range bound, very choppy here in the near term. But you can see this range is starting to narrow here a little bit, and as is often the case, it usually doesn't sit tight for very long before you start to see the next move out, whether that's up or down. I expect you'll see this resolved here during this weekend, if not today. The story in the alts continues. You're continuing to see some strong bounces off the lows. Let's take a quick look at those. Versus BTC here, just some of the stronger names over the last couple of days. Ontology just continued to power higher here over the last few days. Getting a little toppy here, but has had a tremendous move higher. VeChain, another name, had a strong run last couple of days, pausing a little bit here, but just seeing a lot of big moves across the board here in the alts. You can see Neo also starting to curl the right side, and you get this same pattern is showing up across. You can see they had this resistance, this tight action forming here. I mentioned this in the video yesterday. So many of these names are just showing a very similar pattern, and you're finally starting to see some follow through the upside. Various size of moves, but you can see they're just bouncing right into that next resistance level, and most of the moves have been anywhere in the 10% to 15-20% range depending on the name. But now that they're bouncing, it's going to be interesting to see if that's the end of the move here. Many of these names have bounced right into that 10 EMA on the daily on some strong volume, no doubt, but that's going to be the first key resistance level in so many of these names. A few of them are absolutely breaking through already. Ontology, VeChain, we saw some of those. Looking at Icon, bouncing right into that level too. And so it's going to be interesting to see if this is the end of the bounce or if this is the start of a new rally. And so what I will be looking for in the coming days for some confirmation is a higher low to be set from this low. This last week we saw the carnage, the big sell-off. Monday, Tuesday absolutely felt like capitulation. The volume, the amount of moves we saw to the downside after a big move lower. And so it's not surprising to see these bounces, but now the question is that the end of the bounce, or are we entering a new alt season, right? A lot of people are asking that. It's too early to tell if this is an alt season. Right now, to me, this is still just a bounce. But if we see a higher low set in the coming days and then some more conviction, some follow through to the upside, then that would be very positive all around for the altcoin market. But as I continue to say, and I'm a broken record here, but it's all going to depend on Bitcoin. Ultimately, what Bitcoin does here in the near term. If it starts to roll over here in the coming days, then I expect that the alts would also see some pulling back and maybe some new lows here. So that's going to be the thing to be watching here. It is important to note volume is a little dry. That's the thing I'm not liking about this move here. While the bulls continue to make some progress, the buying volume on the bull side has been lacking a little bit. So we want to see that picture change and show some more conviction on the buy side here if things start to break through. Let's take a quick look at the BTC shorts and we'll wrap this up. Looking at the short interest here on Bitfinex, you can see here, this is the 4-hour view, and we started to see some covering here early this week. That's continued here, taking a little bit of a pause, but that's good to see the shorts kind of coming off of this relative high we see. This big peak back here was the high in April, and so this is the second highest level that we've seen here this year. So certainly a significant amount of shorts. Many of those started to open up new shorts at lower prices than we have now, which is still driving the potential for a short squeeze because a lot of the shorts are currently underwater. So unless Bitcoin prices pull back in, you may start to see some covering, and especially above that level I mentioned at $6,600. And so that's going to be interesting to watch over the coming days to see if this continues to drive lower and Bitcoin prices continue to be supported on the upside. But for now, the key levels to watch are that $6,500 mark here in the near term. That's going to be the level that just really has struggled above. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can finally break through here today. I am going to be taking the weekend off, so I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. We'll see you all on Monday. Until next time, take care, everyone.